Hello, I am Chris Mostert, and I want to make a few statements here with reference to Genesis 1 verse 2 about great disasters that hit the earth long years, very, very long ago. According to geologists and scientists, enormous natural disasters struck the earth over a period of millions of years. The biggest, according to them, was the Permian-Triassic catastrophe. It was about 250 million years ago. It is also known as the Great Dying, when 90% of all sea life and 70% of all earth life were destroyed. With evidence, scientists come to the conclusion other asteroids and comets evidently also hit the earth. Enormous tsunamis must have struck the continents during this time. Instability followed, inter alia a total eclipse of the sun that lasted for a very long time. All research and theories are very, very interesting, but I do not want to venture an opinion on this, as it is not my domain. But if it was indeed like this, it fits in the picture the Word is painting in Genesis. Let's look at Genesis 1 verse 2. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. Now we read here, the earth was without form and void. What happened? Now the key of the problem is the translation from the Hebrew verb haya for was. The translation can be better because the Hebrew verb is rich in meaning, and the meanings is to become, to exist, that is, to be, and also come to pass. The flexional form of the verb is hayata, and it is nakal perfect in the past tense, third person singular. So literally, the translation must be became. Genesis 1 verse 2 we read then, and the earth became without form and void, instead of, and the earth was without form and void. Why? The reason is the following, and the earth became without form and void. Would the Lord, like a potter does, created and formed the earth according to Genesis 1 verse 1, and then destroyed it as seen in Genesis 1 verse 2, and then again afterwards decided to create it again? What happened actually? Where do we find evidences elsewhere in the Word about great distinctions of life and earth? The answer is during the reign of Lucifer on earth. The earth that God created according to Genesis 1 verse 1 was initially placed under the dominion of Lucifer. Ezekiel 28 verse 12 to 15. Thus says the Lord God, you were the seal of perfection, full of wisdom and perfect in beauty. You were in Eden, the garden of God. Every precious stone was your covering. You were on the holy mountain of God. You walked back and forth in the midst of fiery stones. You were perfect in your ways from the day you were created. The fall of Lucifer. Lucifer was created as a perfect being. He was appointed over the earth to protect it. But, according to the word, Lucifer, together with a third of the angels, became haughty. He harbored pride in his heart towards God, as he said, according to Isaiah 14 verse 1, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will be like the Most High. We read then that Lucifer fell from heaven. Isaiah 14 verse 12. How you are fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning, how you are cut down to the ground. Presumably, the earth was destroyed after Lucifer's revolt against God. Jeremiah confirmed it in Jeremiah 4 verse 23 to 26. I beheld the earth, and indeed it was without form and void. What Jeremiah saw about the fall of Lucifer is confirmed with the same explanation in Genesis 1 verse 2. And the earth was without form and void. That was as a result of Lucifer's fall, what we read in Genesis 1 verse 2. And then Jeremiah went further. And the heavens they had no light. And I beheld the mountains, and indeed they trembled, and all the hills moved back and forth. I beheld, and indeed there was no man, and all the birds of the heavens had fled. I beheld, and indeed the fruitful land was a wilderness, and all its cities were broken down at the presence of the Lord and by his fierce anger, according to Jeremiah 4, 23 to 26, and that is the time before Adam and Eve. Jesus also testifies about this incident. Luke 10 verse 18, I saw Satan fall like lightning from heaven. We read in Revelations of Satan's demons, Revelation 12 verse 3 and 4. His tail drew a third of the stars of the heaven and threw them to the earth. In the process of Lucifer's fall, the earth and life on earth were nearly destroyed. The Psalm 104 verse 5 to 9. You who laid the foundations of the earth, so that it should not be moved forever. You covered it with the deep as with a garment. The waters stood above the mountains. At your rebuke they fled. At the voice of your thunder they hastened away. They went up over the mountains. They went down into the valleys, to the place which you founded for them. You have set a boundary that they may not pass over, that they may not return to cover the earth. There is much, much more divine given revelations in my book, The Origin of Life. Please visit my webpage or buy my book, The Origin of Life. Please use the following links of Amazon or Kindle. You can also search on Amazon's website or visit my website, chrismaster.org. I hope you enjoyed, and may God bless you.